Welcome back. TOT Hoops in the cut today. Me and Matt are doing a little bit of a different kind of video. We're going to go through every team in the NBA and ask one question. Yeah. I hate to tell you this, but shout out Bill Simmons.
Okay, start us off with the Hawks.
Okay, for the Hawks, I hate to tell you this, but you need to move on from Trae Young. I think it's a no-brainer, the DeJounte Murray thing. I'm not even going to mention it. Like, he's got to go too, but I just think Trae Young could be a championship player somewhere, and he's got to go. It's not Atlanta.
Yeah, the biggest problem for me is I'm a firm believer in there's only a certain number of guys that can be number ones on a championship team, and the way that Trae Young plays, he's not good enough to be a one. And I know Hawks fans are going to get pissed at that. I know Slim's going to watch this video and get pissed at that. It's just one of those things where he's not efficient enough and not I don't want to say team oriented because he averages a lot of assists, but his assists come off of his isolation and pick and roll primarily to me. So it's just one of those things that I just don't think he can be your best player, especially with the lack of defense. Like we're seeing it right now in the finals with Luka. He's just getting picked on every single possession. He is the highest blow-by rate in the last 10 years in each of 3 of the 4 series he's been in this playoffs.
He looks like me out there. And Trey's a great player, and I would like him on my team. And a lot of people would like him on their team, but they're not in a position to get a guy better than him, no matter what kind of footwork they do, and he's not the guy who's going to win you a chip. So move on.
Yeah, even if you're going to get him as the 2, he's already been there, so he's automatically going to, in his head, think he's the 1, and that's not going to work. Okay. For the Boston Celtics, I hate to tell you this, but where do you go from here? There's not really a move I can see you making that makes your team drastically better besides health, and I know Porzingis is currently laboring some weird-ass injury, but this team is just so good. I don't know where you go from here besides another championship. So,
yeah, I don't think they need to do anything. They look spectacular, which I hate. It hurts me to my core to say that, but they look spectacular.
Yeah, no, they're unbelievable.
They're beautifully constructed. Brooklyn Nets.
I'm interested.
I hate to tell you this, but you need a new front office.
I mean, that's been known.
But you need a new front office, and for player wise, you need to move off of these wing guys. They have the biggest boner for wing guys, and it's so annoying. They're putting together this great. It started with the 2022 team, where we got like Blake Griffin, who's kind of a wing guy, and we got Royce, and we signed Utah, and we had Joe Harris at one point. And then we go and get Lonnie, and then we get McHale, and then it's like I could go all day. Like then we get Doe, who's kind of a wing guy, not really. Like it's and then we get McHale, then we get Cam Johnson, then we get Spencer Dinwiddie. It's like it's too guard heavy. You need to start over and start from scratch. And just a real quick note on the ownership. I hate to tell you this, but you need new ownership and new executives. Sean Marks is a great basketball mind, but there's only so much he can do. You had Kyrie, a guy who could have played there a long time. You had KD, a guy who could have played there a long time if you kept the strings together with Kyrie. You didn't accommodate to him at all. You didn't let him play home games at all. If he was on the Mavs at that time, there would have been no issues. They give him meals at halftime during Ramadan. We used to give him a water and a banana on the bench. We have a great player development staff. Everybody says we have the best facilities in the league, but things need to change in the front office.
Yeah, I mean, definitely this team is due. My phrase would have been, I hate to tell you this, but it's time to blow it up. This team needs to get revamped. They're going to have to just commit to a rebuild. They can't be doing this 500 basketball. They also need a point guard, like a true, real assist, pass first point guard.
If I wasn't a homer, that's what I would have said as well.
Yeah, true. What's his face? Dennis Schroeder is solid at that, but he's not the level of a guy that could possibly be on the market. Rumors are shutting down about this, but like a Darius Garland is a guy that's going to give you 18 and 8 on a pretty consistent basis.
He's a great bench point guard.
Dennis Schroeder, yes.
Yeah.
He's the guy that can come in and relieve Darius Garland of his duties if that trade were to happen. For the Charlotte Hornets, I hate to tell you this, but your roster besides LaMelo and Brandon Miller stinks. There's not much you can go from here. You got to draft well. You got to go and just develop guys and hope that you get a healthy season out of LaMelo, because I feel like I haven't seen him really play enough, and especially since he's on such a bad team that I'm not really tuning into a ton of their games. Call me freaking a good team slut.
What's the Miles Bridges deal?
I think he's a free agent right now. I'm honestly not sure. I haven't gone fully into off-season mode. I'm starting to kick into draft mode as this finals is wrapping up. So we'll be definitely doing draft videos. So check back for those 100%. But yeah, this roster just needs to be revamped, and we just need a healthy season, to be honest, for the Hornets.
Miles Bridges is a great player, off court stuff aside. Like, I think he's so underrated on the court. He can shoot, he can drive, he can catch lobs, he can set screens, he can defend interior, somewhat exterior. I think he's very underrated, but he's got his own problems. Chicago Bulls. Oh, this is going to line up nicely. You're going to get the Cavs. Chicago Bulls. I hate to tell you this, but you need to fully blow it up. No questions asked. You
commit to the rebuild.
You need to commit to the rebuild. You need to fully blow it up. You need to build around who, Matt?
Kobe White.
White. You need to just fully rebuild around Kobe White. You got to put TNT in the base of the building and blow it up.
Yeah, no. I mean, this Bulls team has been they were in a similar situation for years, like the Raptors were before they just finally decided to pull the plug and rebuild. And now this team has a star in Scotty Barnes. They have developmental pieces that they're going to go and play through this year and see who they want to keep. Are they going to keep RJ? Are they going to keep IQ long term? It's just like one of those situations where you just have to commit to building around a younger guy in Kobe White, because DeMar DeRozan's not going to be good in this league for very long. And by all means, he's going to want a lot of money from the Bulls if he's going to stay. So he wants to stay too, so maybe he will take a pay cut, but what's the point of being around 500 to not make the playoffs, because you're not going to be better than any of the top 8 teams in the Eastern Conference, and you're also not going to, even if you do get into the playoffs, you're not winning the finals. So there's
Zach LaVine's a nice player. He deserves a home where he can make a push for any kind of, whether it be awards or deep playoff run. He's a nice player, and I'd like to see him somewhere before his prime's over.
Yeah, no. I mean, Zach LaVine could be a good fit on any team. He's not super ball dominant. He can do everything on the floor. So I'm excited to see where the Bulls go from here, but it has to be a blow up, no doubt. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, I hate to tell you this, but you probably got to make a move. You have to make a move at some point here, because this core 4, I don't want to say it's not working, because this team has won near
core 4.
It's been an average of 50 wins, and I am a Cavs fan, so it's been an average of 50 wins over the last 2 seasons. We got to re-sign Donovan Mitchell, and we got to see what everything comes about from this, but you need to make a move of some sort. It doesn't even have to be one of those 4 players traded. I like Evan Mobley at the 5. I also love Jarrett Allen, but I don't think they fit together. I think Darius and Donovan's a lot better of a fit than Evan and Jarrett, and you're not going to be able to go and win a championship with this roster right now. You need some bigger wings that can guard, because we saw it so many times in the playoffs, Max Strus, or even with the worst George Niang minutes I've ever seen in my life being out there. Isaac Okoro is a really, really good defender, but he's only 6'5". So target someone at 20 in the draft, like Tristan DeSilva from Colorado or someone like that. But draft video is coming soon. But that kind of stuff, you just got to make a move.
Dallas Mavericks, I hate to tell you this, but you need to move some assets around for an elite primary ball defender. Someone like an OG, not him. I know he's a free agent, but that's not exactly who I mean. But you know what you're going to get with Luka. He's not going to turn into a first-team all-defense guy, in my personal opinion. I think your bigs are young. Look at the cup on this guy. Look at the cup on this
Chalice.
Look at the chalice on this guy. You got young bigs who I think can develop into something special, so I don't want to touch them as much. I think you need a guy to stick on another team's best player and completely negate them for the entire game. I don't think PJ Washington's that guy. I don't think what's the other one's name? I'm blanking.
Starting Derek Jones Jr.
I don't think Derek Jones Jr. is that guy. While they're both decent defenders, you need like and these guys don't grow on trees, but you need a McHale, you need a Drew Holiday. You need someone like that. That's what they're missing right now in this series. So
yeah, no. I also think it would be really important, not only just a wing defender, I think they need another guard defender, because Luka and Kyrie are not being the best defenders by any means right now. So moving on to getting a guy, just for off the top, because we were just talking about them, and Isaac Okoro is perfect for them. A guy that can shoot nearly 40% from 3, is one of the elite on-ball defenders in the league. And when Luka and Kyrie are sitting, he can go and play that role. He likes to run the break. And that's a guy that you can get for relatively cheap, because the league isn't really on to him yet, if that makes sense.
And you need to not be afraid to move pieces to do it.
Yeah. And I think this team's really, really good and will be championship contenders for a while right now. but you need to be able to supplement Luka's lack of defense and Kyrie's lack of defense with rotation guys like a Matisse Thybulle, maybe someone like that, who we just talked about in our one trade video. So go check that out.
Not a bad idea.
Welcome into the third member of our broadcast. But
all right, I'm going to send you. We'll just list the teams for you 12.
For the Denver Nuggets, I hate to tell you this, but you need more depth. I think the biggest reason for them winning the championship last season was because of their depth with a guy like a Bruce Brown, Christian Brown, and all of that. So moving on, where you kind of you lost Bruce Brown, and Peyton Watson I thought was pretty good, but he wasn't good enough to fill that void that a Bruce Brown left, because he's one of the top tier role players in this league. And yes, you weren't going to sign him to 20 mil plus per year, because that's quite frankly ridiculous. But those are the kind of guys you need on this roster. And we saw it in the Minnesota series. If Jokic and Jamal Murray aren't getting it going, this team really doesn't have many other options. MPJ was really bad shooting in that series, so that won't be the case every single time, but you're probably going to get a bad series out of them if you're going to the finals every season. You're going to get 1 out of 4 bad.
Bound to happen.
So, like, that's just how it works in this league, and you're going to need more depth than a guy that can come in either a backup center or a backup wing guard kind of guy that can initiate offense besides Jamal or Jokic, because no one else can really do that.
Okay, 12. I'm going to give you the next team. You're going to say, I hate to tell you this, but, and then you're going to list something that this team needs to figure out in the offseason and get right before the 2025 season.
All right.
Right now, we are on the Detroit Pistons.
This guy, why you set me up like that? Come on now.
That's just the order of operations here.
I hate their coaching staff. Honestly, I think Monty, you got to pass up on Monty if you can during this offseason. But really get it moving. I like Cade. I know they're gonna want to hold on to Cade. I think hold on to Jaden Ivey as well. Beef Stew, Jalen Duren. You got a good young core. I think you just need a little bit more veteranship that can really step in if you don't want to acquire like a nice wing. I don't think BI would want to go to Detroit, but I'm thinking somebody strong to really anchor in their defense and push the momentum offensively to keep their pace going fast. I feel like if Detroit ups their pace this upcoming season, I think that could get them in a little bit more of a flow, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think that they have to move off Jaden Ivey. I think that's the guy you have to move off. I love Jaden Ivey. I love him a lot, but he just doesn't fit with this team right now. Just doesn't fit with this team. And you can get good assets for Jaden Ivey. So I think doing that and getting another bench scoring option, like say a Tim Hardaway, who isn't very consistent, but can score the ball in spurts, no doubt. That was the Pistons' biggest problem. They didn't have consistent scoring because Jalen Duren's not there yet. He's similar to me, like his ceiling would be like a prime Dwight Howard, where he's going to get you 18 and 18.
Pretty good ceiling.
Great ceiling. I think Jalen Duren's going to be really, really good in this league. He was the second youngest player in the NBA, I think. But this is a guy that isn't going to be a consistent post up. You feed him in the mid post and let him work, similar to an Anthony Davis situation. He's going to be catching a lot of lobs, putbacks, that kind of thing, but he's going to be a defensive menace. So you need to be able to go and surround him with wing scorers along with Cade and get that going. But Finn, you want to do the next one?
Yeah, we're going to do that. That's the order now. Golden State Warriors. I hate to tell you this, but you need to A, move off Clay, and B, you need a dynamic spark plug scorer. I thought that although Steph arguably played the best basketball of his career when they won against the Celtics in the finals, a big part of that series was Jordan Poole. Whether you like it or not, having an absolute dynamic scoring spark plug who you can pair with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson's not going to get the ball in isolation and go score anymore. It's just not going to happen. Do I think he's as bad as he played towards the end of this year? Look at the cup on this guy. Do I think he's as bad as he played toward the end of this year? No, I honestly don't. I think he has some left in the tank. But you're going to need a dynamic. Podziemski's great. He's sort of what I mean. But you need someone who's already established. Maybe he could learn under them. And you need a guy who can come in and spark the bench. Or start instead of Clay.
Kobe White, question mark?
He's not going to get traded.
That's not a terrible theoretical fit, but not him.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I mean, though.
Yeah, that kind of guard scoring aspect, coming off the bench or even starting. Yeah, to me, it's got to be someone that can give you 15 pretty consistently night in, night out. And I know this is probably will drive Warriors fans crazy, but a Karis LeVert type player, I think, would be really good for them. A guy that you're not. It was similar to Jordan Poole, where you're not going to get 20 every night or 15, but you're going to get those spark nights where he just randomly drops 25 to 30, or you're going to get a game where he scores 6 on terrible efficiency, and that's going to be the roller coaster. But that's which is what you got to do.
Matt, you have the list, right?
Yeah. Moving on to the Houston Rockets. I hate to tell you this, but you're going to be really good. I know it kind of sounds counterintuitive.
That's the first one in this video.
You're going to be really good. I like this core moving forward. I'm a huge Sengun guy. I like Jalen Green. I just think that, to me, even in the offseason last year, I said it, but the Fred VanVleet contract is going to hurt. It's just going to. And I didn't hate it at the time solely for the fact that this team needed veteran leadership on the team. But long term, I don't love it. So next season, I think he'll play a good role for them. But in 2 years, you're probably going to have to try and move off of him. It's just one of those contracts that's really, really expensive for a guy that's definitely not deserving of that contract. But you signed him for different reasons, more so than the on-court performance for that yearly salary. But I like this team a lot. They're definitely a team that I could see sneaking into the offs next year, with a couple teams falling and rising, because we're definitely going to do a video on that coming out tomorrow probably. So when you're seeing this, so check that out. But
12 you have, I hate to tell you this, Indiana Pacers, but
can I say can I speak on Houston?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tyus Jones, I feel like that'd be nice if DC blows it up to replace Fred VanVleet, kind of get that young offense, still moving. And I think Tyus has been in the league, a little minute in a way, like how Jason Tatum has been able to be as functional for his squad. Tyus Jones was that in Memphis and did what he could in DC. But I think if you could put him next to Jalen Green, Jabari Smith Jr., I think you really got a lot of opportunity. But one thing about that, what'd you say? How it go? I'm new to this segment.
You'll say Indiana Pacers, I hate to tell you this, but.
And then you make a phrase.
All right, bet. Indiana Pacers, I hate to tell you this, but.
Your Eastern Conference Finals run was a fluke.
And that may be it. You know what I'm saying? I think that if you had a little bit more, if you had defense, really, I think that you could really make something out of it. But y'all, they gave up on Brucey B too. Bruce is gone for them. That was a big no. And Ben Mathurin got hurt. And I know that they kind of functioned your offense. If you can hold on to TJ just a little bit, longer before he retires, I think that'll be good. Great vet to hold on to. But I think you need some strong guys. If you can re-sign, if you can keep Spicy P there, if you can get him to re-sign, that'll be nice. But maybe even Paul. If Paul went back to Indiana, I think that could open, I think that could open up a lot more opportunity for Tyrese to not rush. Yeah, be aggressive, but get off it for real.
He wants to move the ball.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I know it was a fluke, sounds a little harsh, and I think with this current team, I don't see them getting back to the conference finals for a little while. Sorry, Pacers fans, I just don't see that. But I think they're in the position to make another move that would put them back into that tier with the Sixers, Cavs, basically the tier below the Celtics. If they make a pretty strong move in the offseason, which we'll definitely do a Pacers offseason video because we do like the Pacers. We were high on them this
offseason.
But Finn, clip us.
Los Angeles Clippers, I hate to tell you this, but you need to blow it up for assets while you still can. I just think you could they're in a unique position rather than any of the other blow it up teams that we've mentioned, where the return they could get for their current, look at the cup on this guy, the return that they could get for their current roster is unbelievable. I know, they're all a little bit old. They're not in the geriatric unit yet where they're not 39. They're getting close. But you had, this year was kind of all right, if we're going to do it, let's do it this year. I totally understand the angle of letting them play for a summer, letting them all play USA ball, letting them keep practice, letting them run it back one more year. I think while their values are high, these guys just blow it up and get all the assets you can in return. Kind of like the Thunder.
I don't disagree with that. I think that the Clippers, to me, we were all very high on them in the beginning of the season, but it just always comes to a collapse.
There's always something with those teams.
And I just think that this team isn't really going to go anywhere. The only thing is they're just getting a new stadium. They're kind of like, I don't want to say moving out of LA and trying to get away from the LA brand, but they kind of are. So they need to put butts in seats. So
look at this interesting little angle. Like, think about all the recent championship teams. The Warriors in the 2010s were all drafted players and built from the ground up. The Bucks were drafted players and built from the ground up. The Celtics are the best team in the NBA by a long shot. They're drafted players and built from the ground up over time.
Denver Nuggets.
The Denver Nuggets are all drafted players and built from the ground up over time. These teams never work. These like Frankenstein teams, they don't work. So
yeah, I agree. Los Angeles Lakers, I hate to tell you this, but the window is closing fast. I thought that this year, maybe next year, is their last real shot. But teams like the OKC Thunder, who got 2 rounds of playoff experience against really good competition, the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that was just in the conference finals, that wasn't really there before, is growing. The Memphis Grizzlies are going to have all their players back next season for a full season. They're going to be dangerous. This team is getting older, and D'Lo, I think, opted out of his player option, so that's interesting.
He just want to play golf, bro.
But no, that window's closing, that for sure. Slim Memphis Grizzlies.
Memphis Grizzlies, I hate to tell you this, but I think you need a wing. You need a strong wing that can take care of a lot of Ja's weight and Desmond Bane's weight. Hopefully Desmond Bane can come in healthy and stay healthy, but you lose a Dylan Brooks, you lose a Brandon Clark. We haven't really seen Brandon Clark be healthy. Santi Aldama is holding it down, but you just got rid of Steven Adams, no Xavier Tillman. You need bodies. I think you need strength to help out with Ja, and I think that's what you need.
He was saying a lot of great things there, and I think a wing is where they need to be. Like Ja, and honestly, not even to talk about Ja, to talk about Jaren Jackson Jr., who I think is a phenomenal asset. He's so good, so underrated. He's not exactly underrated, but he's just skipped over in conversation so much for what he does.
Yeah, no, I think he's an all-world defense player. Literally just won DPOY last year. And he can do a lot, like everything on the floor. He's very similar to a Karl-Anthony Towns with Cat's shooting ability and scoring ability is higher, but his defense is way higher. So it's like, to me, I don't think that comparison gets brought up enough, but I like Jaren Jackson a whole lot. So this team's going to be interesting. Never met someone that's higher on the Grizzlies than your pops. So,
oh my God, dude. It's unbelievable. If you're listening to this, Dad, you got to chill out with the Grizzlies stuff.
But to be fair, people are sleeping on John Morant, which I never thought I would say, because he's unbelievable. I know he's missed a lot of time and he missed this whole season, but I think people are forgetting about how damn good John Morant is.
He's clutch and poised as well as explosive. He's not just a dunker. Like, he's a very good basketball player.
Yeah. You're just
I hate Miami Heat. I hate to tell you this, but I think it's time to get younger. I love what they've been doing over there these last couple of years, this ragtag group that they've been pulling the strings and doing as much as you can. But, like, I think the Jamie Vasquez kid.
Jaime Hawkins, yeah.
Jaime Hawkins, dude. Nobody clipped that. Sure. I think he's a great example of the direction they need to go in. They draft well historically. They always have. They have great operations and a phenomenal coach. So just continue to move in that direction. But I think Bam and Tyler Hero can be part of that. I don't want to say move off of Jimmy. Like, that's a little bit of an aggressive take because he is the embodiment of Heat culture and he's great to have around just as a veteran. But maybe without moving any pieces around too much, just start to try and internally get younger, send the message to everybody that, like, we're going to keep this same grit, same culture, but we're going to bring in a little bit of a younger cast, whether it's bit by bit or all at once. I just think it's time to get younger.
This Heat team sucks. I'm sorry. They're fucking terrible. They're fucking terrible.
I'm trying over here.
Their offense stinks. Their defense is good. Their offense stinks, and they only, for some reason, try and come alive in the playoffs. And I'm sorry, it's not going to work. You can't consistently be around the 7-8 mark in the play-in and win a championship.
It's so hard to win through.
You're not good enough. And with how good Boston is, they're going to be, barring crazy amounts of injuries, they're going to be the top seed in the Eastern Conference. They just are. They're going to win close, if not more than 60 games a year, every year for the next 2 years. So this team right now needs to get a flip switched at some point. And yeah, this team's not doing it. But Milwaukee Bucks, I hate to tell you this, but shout out Joel Embiid. You just gave the Boston Celtics the championship. Joel Embiid tweeted that last night. Drew Holiday on that team makes them unbeatable. And this Damian Lillard thing, I wasn't a fan of it then. I'm not a fan of it now. I'm curious to see moving forward how it looks, but you have Doc Rivers as your coach, who I hate. This team needs more wings shooting and defense, and they're just not getting it. Brook Lopez is only getting older and more slow. And yes, he's a good drop defender, but in the playoffs, he's going to get hunted, and it's just not going to end well for you. I understand you weren't healthy, and you probably would have beat Indiana if you were healthy.
Would have, 100%.
I don't know about that because Indiana kind of had their number this year. But, like, still, this team just doesn't do enough good for me to put them in that top tier of the Eastern Conference with the Celtics, or even, to me, in that tier behind. Giannis is obviously unbelievable, top 5, maybe even 3 player in the NBA right now. So, like, this team's always going to be very good with those two guys, but to me, they're just not a championship level team.
12, you have the Timberwolves.
T-Wolves, I hate to tell you this, but you may got to get rid of Cat, honestly, if you can, in some form or fashion. I think Naz Reid has been playing phenomenal. And for him to be able to play the 4 and the 5 and just be a wing in general, can play the 3, guard the 3, defensively and offensively, he is a guy that definitely deserves to be in your starting lineup. And I think that you may need a little bit more facilitation. One of my trade recommendations for this past trade deadline was to somehow get Bones Highland and PJ Tucker over in Minnesota. You know, both guys who are, I would say, strong-minded in regards to their approach to the game. PJ Tucker being an energy guy, also able to defend very well whoever it is that you put on him. And Bones Highland can give you that same type of production that you get from Mike Conley, bite. That's what he say, bite. Mike Conley, you know, in the starting lineup, I think that you get a little bit of that youth energy that is gonna, like Tyrese Halliburton, like a Trae Young, be able to help your offense flow a little bit more in transition. You could push for quicker transition buckets, and then that just gets your defense right. Your defense is already together, but I think you may need to move off of Cat.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah, I'm just worried that I'm the biggest Naz Reid fan out there, but it's a 50-50. It's a coin flip. So, like, he could either get more burn and really come into his own and be fantastic and fill that exact void that they need. Or on the other hand, he could get more burn and a spotlight that's brighter is on him, and he's just not what you thought.
Yeah, no, I'll wrap this up quickly. It's one of those things where, yes, Naz Reid is unbelievable, and I think he's really good and can do what Cat does to a certain extent. He's not at the level of Cat, but it's, can you get enough out of Naz Reid to fill that void enough to where you can trade Cat for a wing scorer that can take some pressure off Anthony Edwards? Because we saw it so many times in the playoffs. They've literally just put 4 in the paint and asked the T-Wolves other players to beat them, and they just couldn't do it. Rudy Gobert is a net negative offensively. Jaden McDaniels is very hit or miss. Mike Conley's decent, and he's more of a facilitator and just spot-up three-point shooter than anything else. You need to have another guy that can attack the rim consistently from the wing, and they just don't have it. And I think that would be the only way I would move off of Cat. Finn, I'll go. New Orleans Pelicans, I hate to tell you this, but something's got to give. I know that's very vague, but this core I like, but they're never healthy overall, and they just aren't good enough to compete with this top end of the Western Conference with how deep this conference is in general. Plus, the teams at the top are just so unbelievably talented that I can't see them really winning right now. I like this roster a lot. They have a lot of guys I really do like, but not having Zion this postseason hurt, I actually almost picked them to beat the Thunder if Zion was healthy. So I like this team a lot. It's just that this isn't really working, and there's only so many years you can give to this core, especially with CJ getting older, BI being BI, and
CJ's so butt.
But like, I love Herb and Trey Murphy. I love Jose Alvarado. I love Zion and BI, and I honestly like their whole roster. It's just you got to give it up at some point. And I understand injuries are the main cause of that, but you just have to.
What do you say, Slim? He said, "How do you think my defense was?" I'm gonna let you answer that. All right.
Then let it rip.
Oklahoma City Thunder or New York Knicks. I love to tell you this. Don't do a thing. Switch it up on them. I'm number one. Don't touch this squad. Let the squad play again. When the squad was fully healthy, they were 23-2 this year. Don't do it. Don't lift a finger over there. Resign. I hate to tell you this, but you have to pay to resign everyone. How about that? Everyone needs to come back. The team needs to be exactly the same as it was on paper the day they lost the conference finals.
Only problem is, Slim, you can go next with Thunder, but Hartenstein's apparently, the rumor right now is he's going to get $20 million per year.
He's a $14 million guy.
Maximum. Oh, no. He's like a 10. I love Hartenstein. I think he's really good, but I mean, 20 is ridiculous.
I mean, he showed you that he could step in for Mitch, and that can't,
but
that
Mitch isn't that good either. Like, they're good. They're good. I don't want to throw shade. Like, I both think they're really good, and that rotation is deadly. However, he's not worth $20 million. Also, my boy did just meet Mitchell Robinson like 2 days ago.
At the club, dude. You see that?
Yeah.
That was hard.
That's tough.
My boy's fucking big dude, too.
That's the craziest part is he's probably like 6'6", and he was filming Mitch like this, like a little kid.
Damn.
But yeah, Slim, OKC Thunder.
OKC, I love to tell you this. I'm a run it back like my twin just did. But y'all know y'all got to get rid of Josh Giddey. I think that you definitely need some type of, 3-point spark from a point guard. You could throw Bones Highland in there as well. But, I just think Bones creates space. Yeah, he's a selfless guy. He wants to put everybody else in the position, for them to succeed. And that's what OKC needs. That's what Shea needs. That's what Lou Dort needs. I trust that Chet, or let J-Dub run the one. You know what I'm saying? Let J-Dub get his opportunity to do his thing. J-Dub be the one, Shea be two. But you need something nice coming off the bench. And I like what's his name? I can't think of his name. But Isaiah Joe, he did this on purpose. There's no way he just did that shit. Isaiah Joe's one of those cats, but I think
that's great.
Oh my God.
Either you grab a wing, let go of Gordon Hayward. I heard they mad because he ain't get no PT when he got traded or whatever. I don't know. But Lauri Markkanen, is that what you said?
He's perfect, bro. He's perfect. He's not going to be a guy that needs the ball a ton. He's going to give you 15. He's going to go or 15 to 20. He's going to give you consistent shooting, rebounding, defense, whatever you need. And he's not going to take away from the development of Chet and J-Dub. So I think that'd be great for them. For the you want to go, Finn? Go ahead.
It's your turn. Wow, that was fucked up.
For the Orlando Magic, I hate to tell you this, but this roster is going to need a shakeup. I think the core is really, really good. However, you need to sign some other guard pieces because in the playoffs versus the Cavs, this guard rotation just did not do nearly enough to help Paolo and Franz, and really just Paolo. Because at home, Jalen Suggs was unbelievable. On the road, he was fucking terrible. So that's expected for a young guy in his first playoff series. So I'm not going to hate on him for that. And he's grown every single year. So I think Jalen Suggs has a team or spot on this team for a while. But the Cole Anthony, the Markelle Fultz, even Anthony Black, I know he just got drafted a year ago, but he still has potential and trade value that you can get a guy like a wing player I know we mention this every single time in the offseason, but like a Paul George would be really, really interesting for that team. If you want to go more guard heavy, I know they were very high on trying to trade for Darius Garland before that playoff series where he stunk, but still, like that's a guy that I think would be really, really good in Orlando, and I don't think the Cavs would make that trade. However, but like that style of player, maybe even a Trae Young, for instance, or a DeJounte Murray, like those guys are on the table supposedly, and they could make a huge difference for this Magic team.
Y'all better go to Ty Jones, man. Trae Young, unavailable. Sorry. DeJounte Murray, unavailable. Sorry. Darius Garland, even. Y'all grab DG if you got to. Hop off Markelle Fultz. Like, it is what it is. Jalen Suggs is one to build around. P5, one to build around. Franz, obviously. You know what I'm saying? You get rid of Jonathan Isaacs. Grab Nick Claxton, do what you got to do, make some moves. You know,
Sorry, I hate to break it to you, he's unavailable as well.
and so you know what I'm saying. So like, yeah, watch out with that shit.
So Philadelphia 76ers, I hate to tell you this, but it's time to shell out money for Paul George. That's the fit. There's no questions asked. We did a video talking about this. That's the fit. That's the guy. That'll take this team to the next level. This team will win the championship if they're healthy and they get Paul George next year. Clip that.
I agree. This team with a healthy Paul George, you finally get Tobias Harris's money off the books. Maybe even a return with Jimmy Butler if you want to make that kind of trade.
I think instead of Paul George, he would be even better.
Yeah, I like this team has the potential. They have 60 million cap space, I believe we said, Finn, which is crazy because you can sign a max contract and one or two really, really high quality role players like a Kelly Oubre. You can bring him back. And maybe even, I don't know, think of someone. We probably said it in that video, so go check it out. Yeah, but I think the Sixers are in a good spot. For the Phoenix Suns, I hate to tell you this, but your trades fucking failed. I'm sorry, this team is dead.
Wow.
I'm being harsh today. I'm just feeling harsh. This team is not going to win a championship. This team is not going to compete for anything. You got fucking skunked by the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that a lot of people picked the Suns to beat, and you got swept. You looked like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker looked like they were children next to Anthony Edwards in that series. It was unbelievable.
Don't do that.
No, that's what it looked like. And it was just tough to watch if you were a Suns fan. So this team's dead. Their money situation's terrible. They have no money. Their big three is just not good enough. They need a true point guard, and they can't really get a good enough one to be on this roster unless they maybe somehow get like Chris Paul back on a minimum. Like that's it. And I still don't even think that's great. But
that's bold.
Finn's number one rule: you add Chris Paul, your team will get a little better, but you won't win a championship.
Your team will get a little better, but you'll lose way more games. Slim, I hate to tell you this, but Portland Trailblazers.
I hate to tell you this, Portland Trailblazers, but I like how Ayton stepped up. That's one thing. I like how Ayton stepped up. If it's me personally, I trust Scoot will reach his development. He was just a rookie, but showed you signs of what he's capable of on the defensive end and the offensive end. I think that's something to hold on to. But Anthony Simons is definitely the guy to be around. But if you can get something for a Jeremy Grant, maybe a young talent like Jabari Smith Jr., Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, or, if any of those guys would be available. If you could trade a vet like Jeremy Grant, shoot, like we just got done talking about Detroit, but if you wanted to pick up a cat like Jalen Duren, who it can play.
Slim.
I'm not saying Jalen Duren specifically. I'm just like a Macau even. You know what I'm saying?
I hate to break it to you, he's unavailable.
Man, y'all tripping. But maybe RJ Barrett. I don't know. But I think if you put a young-ish wing with this young core, because DeAndre Ayton is still young as well. I think after getting out of Phoenix's situation, I think that they have a lot more. I think he has a lot more opportunity for growth in the same situation. Like if you just get the right situation over there, just like with what Houston has going on, I feel like a young squad that can really carry on. And I think that you trust Scoot, you trust Ant, you trust Ayton. If you get a nice wing, that could maybe help you out.
Two things, Matt. A, you're going to go next.
You're up. You're
B,
up, buddy.
I know, but I want to do the Spurs.
Okay, fine.
And B, Matt wants them to trade Anthony Simons.
I think they probably should. I think he's really good, but
Hey.
it's not on the timeline.
I'm not putting Trey and DeJounte in no trade categories, but I don't know. We got Kobe Buffkin. I'm straight on Anthony Simons. But
Sacramento Kings, I hate to tell you this, but the window's over. It was a 1-year window, and it's over. I'm sorry.
I love that take so much.
I'm not a Kings guy. I don't like how they play. To be honest, I just don't. Their roster isn't talented enough to do what they want to do, and it's not consistent enough to win championships. So, to me, that window is kind of over, and they're going to be a team that flirts around with the play-in for years to come because this Western Conference is only getting better. I mean, a team like the Lakers and Clippers will eventually fall off in the near future, and you may be able to get into that bottom tiers of the playoffs, but I still don't think it's going to be enough when you see a Denver, an OKC, a Minnesota, or whoever else at this point is on the list. But yeah, I'm out on the Kings. Then go ahead and rip the Spurs. This is a long ass fucking video.
San Antonio, we're going to split into two. San Antonio Spurs, I hate to tell you this, but you got to shell out for Trae Young. Or you got to shell out for Darius Garland. That's the answer. There's no other answer. It's one of those two guys. You will immediately be a 7 seed minimum.
Or draft Rob Dillingham.
Still not good enough. I don't
hate that.
No, I think he'd be great for them, but I think you need a true point guard for that team to get the ball to Wemby, because
I think he is a true point guard.
True, but like more of a scoring point guard. He's more of a Tyrese Maxey
scoring point guard,
but no, I mean a pass first point guard.
I mean, you got Trey Jones. Just play him in the starting lineup.
Yeah, that's what finally worked, but he's still not the caliber of player as a Trae Young or Darius Garland.
Look,
Jeremy Sohan cannot start and play minutes.
As a Trae Young fan, wouldn't you want to see that? I get your, I know. But like, wouldn't you want to see him blossom like that, throwing lobs to Wemby?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Toronto Raptors. I hate to tell you this, but you have too many role players. This team just is filled with too many role players right now, where they don't like. Scotty Barnes is really good, but he's still not at that top tier level to where he can really carry a team. And I think he will get there, even though I'm number one Scotty Barnes hater, but he will eventually get there. They just don't have the roster right now to really compete with the Eastern Conference, especially at the top end. So you just got to figure out who your role players are. We mentioned it earlier, and I'll mention it again. This team just has some stuff to figure out.
Slim Jazz.
Utah Jazz. I hate to tell you this, but you may need a different 5. I don't even. Walker Kessler's there, but allow Walker Kessler to step up. I know Kelly's gone, but you're gonna need a 5. If you could draft somebody strong, if you could get maybe something like a Derek Lively in, I think that would be pretty good for your development, assuming that you hold on to Laurie. I think that if you can maybe move on from THT, grab a Kobe White, grab a guard that can be aggressive, get to the paint, and play defense. I trust THT. I like what Utah has going on. I just, think they need a little bit more strength, a little bit more aggressiveness. I could see even some veteranship coming from DeMar if you were to put DeMar in a situation like that. But I think you need strength, and I think you need a solid 5.
Washington Wizards, I hate to tell you this to put a bow on the video, but you need to trade a player equaling around $1 million a year, divide that up into courtside season ticket passes, and get the baddies front row. Simple as that. Got to get the baddies front row for JP. Let JP cook. Honestly, this is one of those videos that we draw up on the clipboard. We come out here. We execute flawlessly. We appreciate if you made it to the end. I mean, LCS. Like, comment, subscribe to the moon. RIP my chair.
Yeah, we'll have timestamps throughout. So I know this is the end of the video. So if you made it, you watch the whole thing. But there'll be timestamps throughout, so you can click to your favorite team and watch that 3-minute segment. But like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.